building a sustainable ecosystem for blockchain and Web3 games.
Okay, so we've got to compete with that music. We've got to compete with the free alcohol downstairs. So guys, you've got to make this interesting or it's going to be really short. I might have 15 minutes, but I'll cut it to 5 if it's boring. So we're going to do our best for you, the audience. I'm really happy to be on this panel. And I think there's 2 ways that we can look at the sustainability of the Web3 gaming ecosystem. And I think the first way is looking at what happened with things like Axie Infinity and then thinking about how to come back and do it better. We learned a lot of lessons from that. And so how you actually build a sustainable Web3 ecosystem for gaming. But I think the other side of it is about sustainability and Web3. So I'm going to cover both of those, and I'm hoping very much that my 2 wonderful panelists are going to make it entertaining and lively. And it's a challenge. You know, on TikTok, you can only do 90 seconds. So this is going to be the 90-second answer. So we're going to be fast-paced, we're going to be interesting, and we're going to have a lot of questions. Okay, so let's get started, and let me ask you to introduce yourselves first, and then tell them what it is that you're doing, and then we'll go into the conversation. So, Romy, let's start with you.
Hey, let's start. So, hi guys.
Can you put your microphone right on your mouth because you'll have no chance to compete with the noise.
Hey, hi guys. I'm Vince, and I'm the CEO of Bitskwela. I handle the research and operations sides of Bitskwela, and Bitskwela is a Web3 educational technology platform that focuses on helping everyone own a piece of the internet.
Okay, so education, that's going to be a really good part of our conversation. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Romy?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rommel Carlos. I'm the founder and CEO of Arcus. So it's actually under our tech company, 𝐒𝐭 Technology. So we develop software, Web3 games, and all. So this is our first Web3 GameFi project that is actually more aligned with the esports and AI perspective.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're going to have some fun then. So let's just talk about what is the Web3 ecosystem anyway, because, you know, you're an innovator, you're developing the games, you're developing the education for people. There are other aspects of the ecosystem that have to be in place because we need the governments, we need the right regulatory and policy framework, we need the capital to be invested to keep the ecosystem going. In Web3, we need the community because that's the hugest part of keeping Web3 going. And we might need some other pieces. So let me ask each of you to say, what are the aspects of the ecosystem that you think we need to work on and how we can build it so that it becomes sustainable?
So for me, Web3 is the decentralized web. In this in this space of the internet, this is where users can own their data. So this is contrasted to Web2, where companies or corporations own the data of the users. So that's the main key point, or that's the main characteristic that differentiates Web3 from its previous version, Web2. And how this can be sustainable is through blockchain technology, because the blockchain is transparent, immutable, and scalable as well.
So I kind of agree with you, but let me debate you a little bit. So there's a bit of friction between Web2 gaming and Web3 gaming. And some of the Web2 gamers will say that Web3 gaming, I'm not interested. They just want to make money, but we actually want really interesting games to play. And so there's a little bit of a journey to be made to bring the Web2 players into Web3 gaming, and in particular to make sure that it's not just about the assets that they own and the money they can make, but that it's got really interesting gameplay. So let me ask you to answer that, because I think that's going to be part of the sustainability of the Web3 gaming ecosystem.
So I think the story, or I guess the case study that people look at when they talk about Web3 gaming is Axie Infinity, since that's where it all started. And currently, that's where most participants are watching. So currently, Axie is now kind of unsustainable with regards to its tokenomics, as well as for gamers, like you said, Dr. J, saying that compared to Web2 gaming, Axie Infinity is not really enjoyable. So we're lacking two things, or we're missing two characteristics there. It's the essence of the game, basically. It's making it fun, make it enjoyable, or making it sustainable for the players to actually stay long enough to still play the game despite other incentives being gone. And the second one is having a mind. The second one is actually the bad tokenomics, or the bad token economics of the project, which made it unsustainable since many players got the capital or got the resources early on to take advantage of this project.
So, Robbie, we're going to come to you because you're building some of these new games. I'm hoping you're going to tell me that they've got fabulous gameplay as well as an ability to earn money. But that issue about how you build the tokenomics that can work to make a Web3 game sustainable is part of what I hope your answer will be. And you don't have to do it in 90 seconds.
Okay, so I totally agree for what Vince actually mentioned. What lacking, but for me, one of the perspective right now is there's no perfect tokenomics yet. Even us might not be discovered yet the perfect tokenomics because we're still on the early stage. But what we're lacking, especially in GameFi industry, is first the playability, how engaging your game is, how competitive it is, how we look at the Web2 gaming right now, especially in esports. So if you look at the esports industry, there are $43 billion revenue each year, right? How did they make it? What's the best practices that they did in order for this community to be engaged for the next 30 years? Like, I'm a big fan of Counter-Strike. I've been playing that since it was released for version 1.0 up to I stopped it on 1.3, but I still play CSGO. So that was for 30 years. And what was actually the best thing about it, because we're getting addicted to the game. We introduced the game as an entertainment. And then from that entertainment perspective, we insert the incentives or our rewarding system to our players. From that rewarding system, that's where they can engage other than I'm being entertained, I'm earning money. But how much money or how much rewards are we giving? That's where we control the token, your ecosystem. And how you're going to do that is by adding utilities. That's the third point. Utilities is very important when you're overall in your business. Like, for example, you build a brands, right? So this, similar to Web2 or traditional businesses, they're expanding and scaling in other use cases. Like, I have other business, but I'm looking at other services that I can input in my ecosystem. And that's what's supposed to be we are inputting in the GameFi system. So I think those, for me, are the top 3 points that we mainly focus on building a GameFi.
So I was looking at some statistics, which is saying that Web3 gaming has grown by 2,000% in the last year, and that 80% of the Web3 gamers are going to be in Asia. So I think we're in the right place to be talking about how to build a sustainable ecosystem. But to your question, at what point do you know if your tokenomics are sustainable? So do you have to have 500,000 people playing it or 1 million people? Do you wait till it crashes? I mean, how do you actually model that and see what works?
For me, that comes with, I'd say, product market fit, or how the project really knows its user base. It's the same with any other cryptocurrency or any other stock. Let's say you could have different pricing for different tokens for crypto, and you could have different number of supply. You could have no maximum supply. You could have a maximum supply in place. So it really depends on how the project plans to go with the play to earn concept moving forward. So I'd say there's no perfect type or mix, or there's no right kind of mixed with that regard.
Well, we don't know yet, but let me ask both of you, because I think this is a critical question. You need to retain your community. To be successful in Web3, you need to build a big network, and you need to keep them in your game and in your community. So what are some of the strategies that you can share with the audience about how to build community and how to keep community?
So if you look at the first era of our GameFi, play to earn, right? They call it play to earn. So it's not actually play and earn. So right now, I think what other project that I'm collabing with, and also other GameFi aggregator, what they're looking at is play and earn. So how you build and sustain that community is to make sure that you have an engaging. You need to set the focus of which type of genre of the game you are focusing with. So for example, we're focusing on the esports side. So this is where we target mostly players that are competitive, that really loves to compete with other people. We build that community. We partner with other esports group, with other GameFi aggregator. So it's building more on the foundation first before we really release the whole like, oh, this is a play and earn or play to earn. But what we're focusing on is to introduce the game, make sure that your community is fall in love with it. So with or without the earnings, they will play it. Because why we are playing games, right? We are all playing Mobile Legend, League of Legends, just for us to be entertained. And that's what we should be focusing first before focusing on the earning parts. Because focusing on the earning and incentives is easier when you build a strong community that they will be there. It's kind of like they are your partners through thick and thin. That's how I look at it.
Casting, yeah, okay. Maybe this mic doesn't work. But yeah, I think that that's an interesting point because effectively you're building loyalty and trust in your community that they're going to stay with you. But Vince, what about you?
My test.
What tell us of what you think about building community and how you do it and how you keep them sticky and engaged.
So for me, what makes a community stay or what grows a community is organic scaling and organic growth. So although these two might be familiar or might be similar, organic scaling is when the community really grows and really gets activity going in. Even though there are slow days or days where there's nothing happening, there are people really staying. Whereas organic growth, on the other hand, is how the community grows and how they acquire new users to stay in the community. So complementing Roel's point earlier on building things in order to make the community stay despite the turbulence of the market, there's really something to making a play to earn project that makes people stay despite losing some of the incentive.
I want to ask another question because I think one of the things that we saw with Axie Infinity, well, I mean, just remember we're Web3, we decentralize, we want people to have access, we're open, we're transparent. But what we saw happening with Axie Infinity was that when people started to see what could happen, I think in a philosophically philanthropic way, people started to bring young poor players in who couldn't afford the Axie and kind of sponsor them to play. And when that began, that seemed like a good thing because maybe the sponsor would keep 20% and the player would keep 80%. But what we then started to see is the corporatization of the scholarship scheme and others coming in and change the amount that players could earn, make it much less attractive to players and much more extractive in terms of the companies that started doing the scholarship program. So how can we prevent against that kind of thing? Because I think, blockchain, we're free, open, fair, transparent, distributed, and that just seemed like it was a bit corporatized to me.
I think that's really a very good question because I believe there should be no middleman in the decentralized, right? That's why Bitcoin was created, is to reduce this middleman. And that's where we can actually incorporate the social finance and the esports finance. So those are the two another ecosystem that we can build inside a GameFi that can really remove this. Because right now we already we implemented ERC 1155. Sorry for the technical. So in layman's term, this is where the people with money that bought the NFT that doesn't have the time, they can post it in our marketplace, and players can actually grab, rent it, and there's already a splitting directly to the players without any guilds but technically we still need guilds as a partners, right? But reducing that middleman that's one way of the technology evolves that allows the smart contract directly from the community to your game and to the people with money that wanted to just earn passive income without doing nothing, and giving the opportunity to for those people who doesn't have money but have the time to play and wanted to earn.
Vince, did you want to comment on that?
Yes, actually, I agree with what Rommel said, and to complement that, there's something that we can learn from esports and social finance as well that could make the play-to-earn concept, or rather the scholarship system, better or have a better version of it. Actually, what happened there is the scholarship system wasn't an in-project system, or it wasn't a project. It wasn't a system that was proposed by the project developers themselves. Rather, it was something that was initiated by the community members. One day in the Discord forum, they said, "Oh, we can, for scholars who are interested in participating in Ask Infinity but don't have the funds to play, we can sponsor you to play for us, and here's how it will work." And that's how other community members really got the hype and really got the idea of sponsoring players to play the game, have fun, and earn at the same time. So I think another point that comes back to the free-to-earn projects problems is the bad tokenomics. The problem with how the scholarship system works is that the managers or the sponsors got their rewards too quick. Also, the scholars got their rewards too quick, but in exchange, it translated to additional supply or additional utility tokens that could not have been burned one-to-one, meaning to say that the rate that was being minted or that was being earned by the players was not being matched by the demand or the incentive to make the game sustainable.
I think I just want to come back, Romy, to your point, because you talked about building a social finance aspect into the games. And I think that this is something that's really powerful because in a way, we're building a new economy and new economic opportunity. And in countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and others, then this is really a powerful idea. So how do you think that we can grow this, but we can make it so that it is more open and it's not going to be exploited by middlemen?
Very good question. This is actually where the technology comes in, of the power of the smart contract, right? How we built the distribution of the rewards, like for example, in a social finance, one of the things that we can actually incorporate it is the digital ads. So projects wanted to advertise, so similar to kind of like other social media, right? But this time, they're not paying directly to our company or to other company, right? It goes directly, if the project will set that digital ads directly, and the players from the social finance wanted to enable the ads on their setup, it's still a freedom. You want an ads or not? If you want an ads, you're gonna earn some incentives. And it will directly distributed, equally divided to the community, and the platform just get a percentage of the fee to maintain the platform operational expense. And that's how the power of decentralization or blockchain technology, how it can give power back to the community directly, instead of us monetizing as a company, monetizing everything and not, or just milking money from the community. So this time, that's why I love decentralization or blockchain itself. I'm actually a tech guy, so when I studied it, I fall in love with it because of how it can help the community overall. It gave us a financial freedom.
And look, I think I'm a believer as well. But Vince, maybe a comment from you, because I'd like to leave the audience with a couple of thoughts. Web3 clearly has so much potential. Web3 gaming has potential both for social value, but also, for the economic benefit that it can create for people who don't have a lot. So let's get both of you to give the last message to the community. We're learning, we're building, Web3 is relatively new. We haven't developed all aspects of it. But what do we need to keep this ecosystem going so it will be sustainable? So, Vince, let's start with you and then we'll go to you, Romy, because you've got a minute each.
Okay, for me, building a sustainable ecosystem for blockchain and Web3 games actually starts first with education. So that's where I'm coming from. Personally, I see education as the first step to learning more about Web3, learning more about play to earn as a concept and as a potential project as well. So learning about education and learning about what you should do first, what you should avoid. Since Web3 cryptocurrency, it's a really new technology. It hasn't been here for 10 years, yet billions have already been scammed, despite the Philippines being at least number one before in social media, in the number of social media users. We still fall for scams, or we are still not familiar with how these things work or how these technologies really work. So that's my closing statement. Start first with education, educate yourselves, and know more about the space before you enter it.
Thank you very much. And education is a critical part. So how about you, Ronnie? Bring us home with a bang.
Yeah, so education, yeah, I agree with that. To also give a tip, right, on how you can actually look at to a project that you see a potential. I would not say, because we're still on a mature, early stage. Few things that they actually can look into is first, this is bear market. This is a great time to actually spot for the project who's building during the bear market. Then look at their partners, the backers of who are the credible backers. Are these projects credible? Are they docs? And so, the next one is the utility of the project, the quality of the project. Look if they are just a copy of another project, or did they really spend time to create such a quality project that they really spent so much time and build this like the new next thing. The fourth one is to look for the utility. What are the ecosystem involved in the GameFi project or other project as well? It's not just a GameFi. Do they have any plans on building other social, other aspect of economics like social finance, esport finance? Where are they on the roadmap? Are they continuously building? And when you look into spot on that, the last thing you have to find is, do they have the right team to build their roadmaps? I think I agree with Anton earlier that a lot of pitch during the first season is like I'm mentioning, oh, we were going to build this, and then along the way, they're not continue building because they don't have the right team. So I think those are the pointers that you should be looking as a community, because I've been into their situation as well, where on the early stage of Bitcoin, of blockchain, way back 2015, I don't know those things. So those knowledge that I'm sharing are the actual experience that I invested to other projects as well.
That's absolutely great advice, and I would agree with all of it. And I hope that someone was taking notes, because now you can go and have a look at Web3 projects and think about how to invest in them. So let me just thank both of you for a great panel. But I actually think that we are here in the Philippines, in the home of Web3 gaming. You've brought it to global attention with Axie Infinity, and I think you're going to bring it home with the next one that's going to be a global success. So congratulations. Thanks for joining the panel. Please give them a big hand. Thank you. Right.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.